I know my son very, very well. I know exactly what he would want me to do. I know that he would want us to continue living. I know that he would want us to take care of Maya. I know that he would want us to be good.
Yeah.
I know he'd want us to embrace our family. I know all these things. So even though he's not here in body, like I know his heart, and his heart came from us. So we just continue in that vein.
Hello, hello, hello.
One more time, hello.
And welcome to The Squeeze.
The squeeze, the squeeze, the squeeze.
We are the Taylor Lautners, and we are thankful that you are joining us this Wednesday.
Yes, grateful to see another Wednesday go by.
Yes.
Grateful to spend it with you guys.
Grateful to have each and every one of you.
Yes.
I hope your week is going well so far. And I know you're going to crush the rest of the week.
Heck yeah.
For now, let's dive into some mental health.
Woohoo. Just how we love to spend our Wednesday.
Yes.
Get us through that help. We have a very special episode today. I have been waiting for this episode for quite some time.
Yep. When we first started the podcast, these two people were people that we knew we wanted on immediately.
Yeah.
Didn't know if they would be open to it. Thankfully, they were. And it's taken us a little bit of time to get here, but we finally got them on. Had an amazing conversation with them. We have Victor and Libby Boyce, the parents of Cameron Boyce. If you are unaware, Cameron was an amazing child actor, started on Disney Channel, just worked a lot, never stopped working, to be honest. I did Grown Ups 2 with him. He was in The Descendants.
Mm-hmm. Jesse?
Was that the Disney show?
Yeah.
He never stopped working. He was in everything. And best known for who he was as a person. And unfortunately, in 2019, he passed away in the middle of the night from
epilepsy.
From epilepsy.
Yeah.
And specifically from SUDEP.
Yeah, sudden unexpected death in epilepsy patients.
Yes. He started experiencing his first seizure in 2017, I believe. And he had, just a handful of them, about 5, and only about 1, 2 max a year. And unfortunately, the 5th one took his life. But the outpour of love from people that knew him, people that didn't know him, was just truly unbelievable to witness, and really just goes to show who he was as a person and the impact he had on so many lives. And we are just so thankful to have Victor and Libby with us today to talk about Cameron and his legacy, because what he did just as a person and what they are doing through the Cameron Boyce Foundation is just so beautiful. And he is still changing so many lives, saving lives today. So yeah, I think without further ado, we can just jump right in. Thank you, Victor and Libby, for being here with us today. And thank you for sharing Cameron's story. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We're truly so excited to have you guys. The same can't be said about the circumstance, which we're deeply sorry for. Mm-hmm. But we just feel so honored that you guys felt safe enough to come here and talk about your son and his legacy and all the positive and beautiful things that has come from his life. So we feel really, really honored, and just thank you for that.
Well, thank you for having us.
Of course.
I would like to dive right into, who Cameron was and his story. 'Cause obviously, we know his story. I mean, him and Taylor did a movie together.
Grown-ups too.
Quite some time ago, but we know his story. But for our audience listening, I'd love for you guys just to kind of share, who he was as a person and his story.
Well, he was just a special kid who was very, very interested in dance very early. We didn't even know about it. It was like a big surprise to us. We went to pick him up at daycare and they said, come see our dance recital. And
preschool.
so we came, whatever, preschool, daycare. He was little. He was like 4 or 5.
Oh, wow.
And we had no idea they were even doing dance. And they did a little performance, and it was the Cameron show, and all the kids stood around picking their nose and like watching Cameron dance.
Oh my gosh.
And we were just kind of blown away and just saw his pure joy of performing and like leading, and he was just on fire, like
Wow.
like just natural, And so we just decided to take him to dance lessons.
Wow.
And we took him to a dance place in North Hollywood, Millennium, which a lot of dancers come from Millennium. And he got right into the kids' company there. And that's where it sort of all started. But, Cameron was a kid who watched the world a lot. He was very, very observant. We used to worry about him a little bit because it was like, he's not participating. He just watches what is going on. But he was so intent in that. And he didn't participate until he could be at 100%. We observed this with him.
Yeah.
But because he was in Millennium and there were a lot of kids there that were doing some acting and he wanted to try it. And we thought, we'll try it. And there he went, really. It took off very, very quickly. He never had an acting class ever. He just had a true joy of life, of performing, of his craft. He was really, especially the year or 2 before he passed away, just really interested in his craft and building off of everything he had learned, but also stuff that was innate in him, including choreographing dance. And he was really getting into the craft of performing in a different way, I think, than I've seen a lot of other, young actors come up. And he's just an incredible human. Like, I don't know even how you can't, unless you meet him, it's hard to, but a lot of people who haven't met him get it too. It's a weird, he was just a very special person. He was a very, very old soul. If you believe in that, the conversations I had with him, I often felt like I was his student. I mean, it was weird. I can't really describe that. And I don't know, Vic, I'm sure you have to add.
No, you said it perfectly. He just came out that way.
Yeah.
People say, what did you guys do? How did you get it? We didn't do anything.
Wow.
We just fed him and read to him and sang and danced with him and loved him. And then he just created his own path.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like it's so evident, like you saying those things about him, like me just watching, movies and shows that he's done and seeing interviews with him that show, that's how I would have described him, but I don't even know him personally,
Right.
So that's so cool that was able, I don't know him, but that's so cool that was able to shine through his work and through interviews.
There clearly was something so special in moving about him because, just from our point of view and from, most people's point of view, the overwhelming love from so many people towards him just was like, I didn't know him very well, but it made me emotional. Just like the outpouring of love and positivity towards one person was just like really moving.
Yeah.
And I know he himself, came out like that and was special, but clearly you guys did something right.
I'd like to think so a little bit, but
take a little credit.
Yeah, take some.
He was truly just kind of extraordinary. And a lot of fans say what you're saying, they didn't know him personally, but somehow something came through that touched their heart in a way that, it's kind of like not being the most spiritual person in the world. It's a big question mark for me. Like, what is that? What is that thing that he had?
Yeah.
I think also special. A lot of people that worked with him, like you and other people, they felt like he was, or they knew right away that he was genuine in a
Mm-hmm.
world where most people are being very pretentious or putting on a face or trying to do what people think they should do, where Cameron was just Cameron.
Yeah.
Whether he was on stage or on set or not, you always got the same human. And so he was predictable in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then you really got to know him for real, not the persona of whatever character he happened to be playing at the time.
Yeah.
And when we first started doing TV, like he started with print ads. We did a lot of print. I say we, but I was dadager and driver. And so
I had the same thing.
yeah. So, people started telling me, and when I say people, I mean people like from Crafty and from the Grips. And they said, your kid is different from some of the other kids. And I thought, oh no, like what did he do?
Oh gosh.
I go, no, he's really nice, and he really pays attention, and he takes direction. And I'm like, first I thought they were just like, blowing smoke, but it kept happening, and all different people from different areas of the shoots and the jobs he would do would tell me how not special, but like he was different, and he was like so nice, and like how different that was. I'm like, really? And I didn't buy it for a long time. It took me like a year or more to really start believing it. And then I said, wow, I guess there's something to this.
Yeah.
Well, we also saw a lot of other young actors.
Well, yeah,
we could compare a little.
we had some good examples of what to do or not to do.
Yeah.
Not calling anybody out, but it's stressful as a kid to be not in school, to be put into a situation where you think you're supposed to be a star. Like even Cameron told me one time he didn't understand his level of fame when he was like 8. Like, how was he supposed to deal with that? So it's stressful for a kid, but he was always one to take it in stride and not let it define him so much as we found some other kids did. So I think that also shone through a lot.
He also was really uncomfortable with the fame, I guess, for a while. And I know there was one point at which I was with him and we ran into Corbin. I think it was Corbin.
Corbin Bleu.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Corbin. And I shared with Corbin that Cameron was having a hard time with that. And I don't know, Corbin took him aside. And after that moment,
Well,
he was
what Corbin
fine.
told
I
him
don't-
basically was that, your fans grow up with you, and you will have the same fans from when you were 8 to forever, but they will grow up with you. So you guys are kind of all in the same space. And he added more to it. I forget exactly what it was, but whatever he said after that,
Yeah,
it
clicked
really
in.
clicked with Cameron, and he just was just like at ease after that.
Wow.
Yeah, Corbin's a good dude, and obviously he'd gone through it, and he knew.
Yeah.
And
I'm grateful for that moment.
totally, yeah, that really helped us out a lot. The other thing that was a struggle for Cameron, not so much for him, but for our daughter Maya, because Cameron had so much attention on him all the time. It was stressful on her being Cameron's sister,
I have the same thing.
and that
But literally the same story.
that was
that-
really hard on us because we didn't really know how to deal with that, and I remember Maya had a total meltdown one time. Everything's about Cameron, and Cameron, in his infinite wisdom, he talked to her and got her through that mess.
Yeah.
And
He was the best big brother.
the best.
ever.
He was so supportive of her, and like we said, he's wise beyond his years, even as a young person, and he knew what to say to Maya to get her feeling safe and feeling seen and being her own person. And from that time, she decided to stop trying to she didn't try to be Cameron, but she was thinking she needed to go in his shoes
Right.
to go her own direction.
Yep.
And she did. And we're so proud of her. And it's something that, even though Cameron is gone, it's something that another legacy that he left.
Yep.
It's his sister, for
Yeah.
sure.
For sure.
How far apart are they in age?
2 years,
2.5
7
years.
months.
Okay.
2.5 years.
Okay. Yeah. I just have a sister too, a little
Yeah,
sister.
a
Yeah.
little.
Yep.
Same thing.
Yep. Same thing for
yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's a powerhouse, so she's
So's Maya. So
Yeah.
they got that in common.
Oh, she's fully baked
Yeah,
now.
she's fully
It's no worries, but
No.
there was definitely a time where it was like, what are we going to do? Because I didn't see an end to it because he kept getting bigger and bigger and
Yeah.
bigger. He just kept booking, and print led to commercials. Commercials led to TV.
Movies.
Or actually, I'm wrong. Commercials led to movies. He did movies first,
Okay.
and then he did TV.
okay.
And it just kept going. And, we didn't want him to stop. And I would always ask him, are you sure you want to do this? Because a lot of kids get pushed by the parents. I'm not an actor, or I can't dance my way out of a paper bag. And so neither one of those things are like, I'm living vicariously through him on those things. And so I would always ask him, do you still want to do this? Are you sure? Are you sure? And he kept saying, yes, 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 from 6 years old till forever.
Wow.
And so I didn't want to pull him out of it because of so we had to figure out something, and Cameron just handled it.
Yeah, that balance is tricky.
Super hard.
His dad would have liked him to be a cyclist. So
Yeah.
truly,
Right.
we were not interested in him being an actor or dancer, any of
No.
those
Let him
things,
do
but
what
it
he
was his
loved.
joy.
I
It was
tried to get him to ride with me, and he hated the tight clothes. He would not. And he was actually a good little rider, but that just wasn't his thing.
Yeah.
I'm with Cameron on that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you got to be able to pull it off. Dude. You got to be able to pull it off. But yeah, so that wasn't his thing. You know, it took me a minute as a dad to realize he is not mini me. Because you think your son, you know, for example, I was big time into Hot Wheels when I was little. Hot Wheels everywhere, the track, the cars, I was all about that. So naturally I get Cameron Hot Wheels. So all he would ever do with them, he wouldn't drive them as cars. He would just arrange them in color order.
Love that.
Like that was what he did. Like just creative. Like,
Yeah.
so I didn't get like, what are you doing? Those are cars. Like, so long story short, he's an artist.
Yeah.
He wasn't a car guy. He liked his car that he had, but he wasn't like me, like as a kid. Like I was all about that.
Yeah.
And he wasn't about that at
you
all.
guys both had basketball.
We had
though.
commonalities, music and basketball.
Okay.
But other than that, Cameron, you know, like I said, he was a dancer. I was never a dancer. I never wanted to be an actor. In fact, I didn't want him to be an actor because I grew up with a couple of child stars that I also won't mention that they went really, really wrong.
Yeah.
So I was trepidatious as hell
For sure.
Yeah.
getting him into that world. And it was like, oh my God, do we have to?
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
But it worked out, but it was not for me.
Doesn't
It was
work
not.
out for most,
I
yeah.
never, ever
Yeah,
envisioned
exactly.
this as my life, just like I never envisioned this epilepsy thing as my life. You never know what's going to happen
Yeah.
in your life. So you just can't be completely surprised because things can be kind of random.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can plan all you want, but then something can derail you or a newer opportunity can come. It can be either way.
Yeah.
So when Cameron really started booking, I couldn't believe it. Like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it took a long time before he booked his first job.
Yeah.
All I was doing was taking time off of work and getting parking tickets. Going to auditions and
Yeah.
the meter runs out. And they're like, oh God,
I
another
don't know that it
$60 for
took-
nothing.
I don't know that it took a
No,
long
it
time
took
in
like 6
comparison to
months.
other people.
Well, I don't know.
6 months.
For me, that was an eternity.
Yeah.
Because I
him.
kept
Right.
missing work and what are we doing this for? Plus, I didn't know what I was doing. So the first audition, I'll never forget, we park, we go in, we find the place, we check in, we sign the little thing. He went behind a curtain. At first, I thought I was supposed to go with him. They're like, oh, no. You know, so I'm walking in behind like, duh, you don't do that. So he goes in and he came right back out. And I'm like, what happened? You know, whatever it was, I don't know. He's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is going on? And then we
Yeah.
leave, and that just kept happening. And then finally, he booked a Disney print ad for a calendar.
Yeah, calendar.
It was a Christmas calendar.
Okay.
No, it was Halloween because he was wearing a Halloween costume. I still have the
wow.
catalog.
Oh.
And he had so much fun. And one kid kind of was not cooperating, so he took that kid's part as well.
Okay.
So he did double work, and they were jumping on this little trampoline. It was almost the size of this table, little
Yeah.
trampoline. They gave him the trampoline, and he got like, I want to say it was like $1,200, which I thought, oh my God,
Yeah.
this is amazing. So, and he loved it. And so from that day on, he just kept going. He never stopped. He never stopped. And so that's why I always ask him, you know, do you still want to do this? And he kept saying, yes, yes, yes. I'll never forget another time. We were on the freeway and it was a lot of traffic. We were going somewhere for another print ad. And Cameron said, Dad, where are all these people going? Because we were stuck in traffic. I said, well, they're going to work. And he said, I'm glad we don't have to go to work. As we're going to a job. And I just thought, this is amazing because he is going to work.
Yeah.
But he loves
But he
what he
loves
does.
what he
So
does.
that's perfect. That's the goal of every human.
Yep.
To love what you
Yeah.
do
Oh my
and to
gosh.
not stress it.
Then you won't work a day in your life.
You don't work a
right.
day in your life. And I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Wow. Kids are fun.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. I'm glad we're not going to work. And that shoot was very fun. They had a pillow fight. I forgot what the product
I don't
was,
know,
but
honey.
they were fighting with pillows. Those kids, it was like Abercrombie. I don't know, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But he had a blast, and it was great.
You
Yeah.
had fun at work.
Oh, he
He
had fun
did.
at work
He
all the
always did.
time.
He
He always
always
had
did.
fun at work.
Yep.
We have been traveling quite a bit recently, and if you know me, you know I love to cook. We both love food,
Yes.
and something that has been a lifesaver for us has been Green Chef,
Yes.
because they ship you all of the materials, the ingredients,
Yeah.
and you get to make it, but it's so quick and easy and just insanely delicious. They have, my favorite is they have a Mediterranean menu,
Yeah.
and there's a Cuban chicken with chimichurri to die for. But they also have a vegetarian menu, gluten-free, keto-friendly. So they got everything, and it's with the highest quality ingredients. So very, very healthy and good for you.
Yeah, just like you said, they have protein-packed meals, calorie-smart meals, organic, cage-free eggs, all the good stuff. And the meals are nutritionist-approved recipes that it takes the hassle out of your day and makes our life a lot easier when, when we're out traveling and we don't have time to stroll the grocery store for hours that you love to do.
Yeah, and you don't have to, eat fast food or Postmate something unhealthy.
Yeah.
Because that's what, it's so easy to do that.
Yeah, no, that's so true. Yeah, so if you guys want to check out Green Chef, you can go to greenchef.com/60 the squeeze and use code 60 the squeeze to get 60% off plus free shipping.
Wow.
Yes, I'm going to read it again. greenchef.com/60 the squeeze and use code 60 the squeeze to get 60% off. That's just like insane.
Yeah, it's a great deal.
That's a great deal. You guys should check them out.
Check them out and check out that Cuban chicken.
Okay, so we are always talking about how I try to get Taylor, simple tasks to help around the house, taking the trash out, putting the toilet paper on the correct way.
What else?
What else? The newest one that has been added because it makes your life a lot easier.
This is a roast fest. My gosh.
Hey, no, you're learning. It's great.
Yeah, I know.
You gotta learn
And
something.
this does make it easier. I'll give you that.
Is doing the laundry.
Mhm.
So Earth Breeze, we've talked about them before. It's liquidless laundry detergent. It's literally looks like a dryer sheet, but it's laundry detergent.
Yep.
So there's no measuring, there's no mess, there's no nothing. It dissolves in, hot, warm, cold, anything.
You just chuck it in there.
You literally just drop it in with your clothes, your towels, your sheets, whatever you're washing, and you run your cycle.
It's kind of a dream come true.
It is a dream come true. It has very much helped you with the laundry.
Yeah.
But what's great about it too is it still gives you that powerful clean. It still fights stains and odors. It gives you the clean that you can feel good about.
Absolutely. Big fan.
And right now, you guys listening, you can go to Earth Breeze and save 40% off your order.
Oh, let's go.
So go to earthbreeze.com/the squeeze. That's earthbreeze.com/the squeeze for 40% off.
Another fantastic deal. My gosh.
earthbreeze.com/the squeeze. Get washing.
Jumping forward here. When did the epilepsy come into the picture? When was the first time that was introduced, or when was he diagnosed?
He had his first seizure January 1st, 2016, I think, or 17.
Okay.
I think he was 16 or 17. I don't remember anymore. But he had a sleepover with a couple of his friends, and they came running into our room at about 6 a.m. saying that Cameron was spitting up blood when in actuality he was just biting his mouth. And he was completely out of it when we went in, just like really didn't know who he was, where he was, nothing. He was just kind of vacant. Of course, we called 911. They came. They always have to check for child abuse, so they removed him from us and see what's going on. And then they said, okay, who wants to take an ambulance ride? Vic jumped in, and they went to the hospital, and we were told that he had a seizure. And they told us that you can always have one free seizure, which actually, like we've been living in this for a long time now, and
Yeah.
and that's like not the best information to give,
Okay.
but it's really like the time when you have a second seizure, you're considered as having epilepsy, and they start to treat you.
He had a second seizure
A year
13 months.
later or
It was like
something.
13 months later.
Oh, wow.
So when the person that told us he could have, it's possible that you have one free one, meaning
Yeah.
you'll never have another one.
Yep.
After a few months, I thought that was the case.
In the clear.
And we literally, I can't speak for her, but I literally kind of forgot about it.
Yeah.
You know, everything's going on. We're still doing our thing. Everything's normal. And then he had another one. And then that's when it got super duper serious. You're diagnosed as epileptic. And now we need a plan. We need to find meds. We need to get information, treatment. And this is our whole
Spiel.
frustration with the medical system. At this point, we're still not getting a whole lot of information, tools, as my
Very
wife always
little.
says. We're
Very
getting
little.
some. We're getting some,
We got a brochure.
but nothing substantial, nothing significant as far as how intrusive and invasive epilepsy is on your life now, because it's for a lot of people, it's a daily occurrence. People seize
Multiple times
every
a day.
day, multiple times. There's many different types of epilepsy. We think there's 40-ish.
yeah.
And so it's super complicated. And for a lot of people, it's just super debilitating. Cameron was different in the sense that he only had a seizure about every year. And so because he had so few seizures, it's kind of hard to pinpoint what's working and what's not. We got his brain scanned. He wore a apparatus on his. We went to a Rams game with a whole bunch of wires all over his head and a box on the side. We put a beanie on his head and covered up the box and went to a Rams game like that because Cameron just wanted to keep living his life. He wasn't going to sit around just because he was having seizures, but we were trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But nothing was ever conclusive. Nothing was ever definitive as far as causation. They tried to induce seizures. Like a lot of people seize because of flashing lights. That's one thing. That's a trigger. It didn't work for him.
Okay.
There was no spot or speck or any kind of thing in his CAT scan in his brain. So it was really, really difficult. And so they put him on a medicine that's very common, epileptic anti-convulsion medicine. And so, we're not sure if that's working or not, but then another year goes by.
Yeah.
And the thing about these medicines that you have to take them regularly. And when you're a young person and you're out doing your thing, you may or may not do that.
Yeah.
You may or may not get enough sleep. You may or may not smoke a joint. You may or may not have a drink. So these things are all complications in trying to do what's right and figure it out.
Well, I would just add, like, epilepsy is a type of condition that they know the least about. Like, it's the
Right.
most common neurological disease, but they don't know that much about it in when you really think about it, because there's so many different types.
Yeah.
And I think for us, like, our big message is about, taking that diagnosis very seriously. And if
Yeah.
the medical community doesn't tell you it's serious, you need to know it is.
Yeah.
Not to spook people, but like everything that Cameron had in terms of his epilepsy were actually things that we thought were positive, which were actually negative.
Oh, my goodness.
And what I mean by that is that I thought because he had them in his sleep that he was safe.
Right.
But actually having them in your sleep is more common associated with people dying from a seizure.
With SUDEP.
With
So
sudden unexpected death in epilepsy patients is what he died of.
Yes.
Which is there's no etiology, there's no understanding of why. But how I feel about it is that he had a very bad seizure and his body just didn't breathe, or his heart stopped, or something like that. But like there's so much stuff that we didn't know before he died.
Yeah.
There was so much knowledge, that
including the
medical-
existence of SUDEP. We had never heard of that.
Never heard of it.
We
The
had never
medical
heard of that.
community could have armed us better. There's a balance between freaking a parent out
Yeah.
and just giving them tools,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we didn't get those tools. And so the Cameron Boyce Foundation, that's really what we're all about, is awareness. And, speaking of his legacy, I know, even as hard as it is, and just every day, like, why did this kid die? I know that people are saved because of him.
Yeah.
And no, it doesn't It doesn't make it better. It
No.
doesn't heal me.
No.
But it does make me feel as though at least something good
Yeah.
came of it.
Yeah.
Well, Cameron was always giving of his time, especially for sick kids. We used to visit sick kids in the hospital, and like we would be scheduled to see 5 or, you know, like a handful. And he would go to every room on the floor, without a doubt, and you know, I think Cameron, even after his diagnosis, he was doing this. So he wasn't feeling sorry for himself and woe was me. He was still going out because he knew the power that he had as far as affecting people in a positive way.
Yeah.
He really, really understood that. And that was something that always fascinated me because I'm not sure I would understand that at his age, even as a teenager. So he was super, super altruistic.
Altruistic, is that the right word?
Is that the right word?
Yeah,
He was
altruistic.
super, super, you know, he was just a giving guy.
Yeah.
And like even like silly things like he was in a basketball league for like, you know,
A minute.
Disney kids, and it wasn't like big time stars, but it was people that were on TV and stuff.
Yeah.
It was called Hollywood Nights. It folded after the pandemic, but after the game, Cameron would take off his jersey and throw it into the crowd. And I'm like, no, I want that jersey. But he didn't care about me. He liked to give it to his fans and give it to the people that appreciate him. And he didn't care about keeping it. Like, that's something I have framed. And, you know,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. He was so different from I am as far as material things. He wasn't materialistic, like, at all. And that was another thing I didn't get. Like, why'd you just throw that away?
Yeah.
He didn't care. The joy was in sharing it with his fans. And
Right.
that's why I think people love him so much, because he was just so giving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would always take a picture. He would always talk to you.
Yeah.
He never said no.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, another example was there were times, obviously, he talked to kids with special needs, and he just took so much time with them. Like, I remember one time there was a kid with autism, and he kept running away, and he was just hiding during an event and wouldn't talk to Cameron. And, you know, Cameron dropped everything and went to him and found a way
Aw.
to sit there with him for an hour and just chat.
Yep.
It was like, okay.
Or he would say, like, somebody would say, hey, Cameron, can I please take a picture with you? And he would say, no, but can I take a picture with you? And
Oh
they'd be
my
like,
gosh.
like,
Yeah.
they would just freak out. Like, yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
Yep.
You guys touched on it, but you started the Cameron Boyce Foundation. I think you've kind of explained, but what is your main mission behind that?
Yeah. Right now, this moment,
Yeah.
it's awareness. We started with a big mission, and we've sort of narrowed in. Reason for that is that it just became quickly came to our heads that,
Yeah.
we needed to focus on epilepsy. And then, we were focused on epilepsy awareness and research, which we're still, we still donate to research, but there's so many entities out there doing that. But our foundation, what we have is eyes and young eyes, which is really where the issue is. A lot of young people get epilepsy,
Yeah, I
and
was gonna ask that.
they're becoming hormonal, and they're going to college, and they're, and that's when it gets risky.
Yeah.
And
Especially for young men.
Really?
Yeah,
It's
young
worse
men.
for boys. Cameron had all the typical markers of somebody who was
high
susceptible.
risk.
Wow.
So
what are those, if you don't mind me asking? You don't
young-
need to share, but
No, that's fine. Young men dealing with a lot, like your first year of college, for example, it's stressful.
Stress.
You just moved out of the house.
Yeah.
For Cameron, he was transitioning from being a Disney actor to an actor that he wanted to, mainstream. Because what he learned after Gamers Guy got canceled, that show was not good, I'll just say it. Gamers Guy got canceled. And after that, Cameron, it was the first time he struggled to book. So when I said he always booked, I was not.
Yeah.
Early on, he did.
Yeah.
But after Gamer's Guide, he was out there in the non-Disney world, and it was a little struggle for him. But I knew he would still break through.
Yeah.
So he had to not reinvent himself, but like he was on a whole different kind of mission.
Yeah.
Because he could see that like these casting, he didn't know these casting agents. It wasn't the same people he was used to. It wasn't the same actors. He would go into the room and people didn't know or care, because they didn't take Disney actors seriously. It's like you have real actors, quotes, and Disney actors, and they're not the same. So he had to go through that little rough patch to start again.
Yeah.
And then just like in Cameron fashion, once he started booking, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
He booked a pilot, he booked this, he booked that, he booked this TV show, he booked a special, he booked the HBO show, all the way up till the end, until a movie. So he basically reinvented himself. And that's when my wife was saying he was so entrenched in his craft at that point, because he realized, if I'm really going to do this, I have to go serious.
Yeah.
Serious. Because, with grown-ups and stuff, that stuff was silly and fun, but he wanted to be taken seriously as an actor. And that's why it's a high stress thing.
Yeah.
So that's another marker.
Yeah.
Young, male, stress.
Sleep during your sleep, having seizures during your sleep. If you
in
sleep
your
on your
sleep.
stomach,
Yep.
just all things we didn't know.
He never had a seizure during the day or driving or anything like that. So we used to worry, like, if he's swimming, what if he,
Right.
anything like that. And it was never,
They
it was
all
never an
were
issue.
during his sleep.
Every
Always.
single
All
one.
5.
Wow.
Every single one while he was sleeping. And again, we were lulled to sleep, so to speak, thinking he was safer because he wasn't driving
Right.
or because he wasn't swimming or walking downstairs or something. But that's really bad, because when you're sleeping and you seize, that's a chance for SUDEP.
Okay.
It's for some reason, and we don't understand it. We don't know why. There's no, one of the researchers that we did a grant for or granted money to is working on trying to figure out that causation, that correlation, I should say. It's circadian rhythms. Everything in your body has a clock, not just your brain.
Yeah.
Every organ in your body has a clock, which is something we learned. And if those things aren't timed out right, you could have serious problems. So her theory is that maybe, because the seizure is not what kills you, it's something after the seizure
Right.
that kills you. Your system gets switched around. Things are wired wrong for a second.
Yeah.
And so she's trying to figure out that whatever's causing that.
Wow.
But that's just one theory out of who knows how many. There's many brilliant minds working on this, but it's so complex.
Yeah.
And there's so many different types of epilepsy. Like, which one do you focus on? Where do you start? Are they connected even?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like Cameron, we said Cameron had 5, maybe 6 seizures. We don't even really know if it was 5 or 6, but it was only a handful.
Okay.
And people we know had kids that seized 5, 10 times a day.
Sheesh.
It's horrible. And but they're very debilitated, and they're learning disabled and stuff like that. So Cameron was exceptional in the sense that he was brilliant. He was a great actor. He was a great dancer. He was a great athlete. He could dance like crazy. He was so coordinated. And Cameron had scoliosis. Cameron was not even straight, and he could do flips and all this stuff. And so he was exceptional in that sense. But we know there's other people, like there's pro sports players that have epilepsy. We need people to come out of the shadows.
Start talking about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of our main thing. We need people to come out and speak on it so that we get more eyeballs on it, like Parkinson's has, like cancer has.
And
like
Cameron's not the only person. I
No,
mean, 1 in 26 will have epilepsy
Yeah.
in their lifetime. So they're out there. It's
Yes.
just people don't talk about it. And it's always been, since the beginning of time, it's always been a stigmatized condition
Yep.
Yeah.
and not talked about. And it just continues. So
Yeah.
for us, it's like, he is the biggest name in the epilepsy world who's come out,
Yeah.
out, not voluntarily, but
No.
obviously, we are carrying his legacy. And for us, we know this is what he would want us to do.
So I don't know if you guys are like me, but I'm always looking for an excuse to give my closet a little sprucing. Especially for fall, because as you can tell in most of these episodes, I am in, sweaters
We love our comfy.
and comfortable clothes.
Yeah.
And that is something that I value, a minimalistic but effortless look. And Jenny Kane provides just that.
Yeah. We are large fans of the Jenny Kane brand.
Yes.
I recently got
A little quarter zip.
quarter zip
Yes.
cashmere.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is heaven on earth. Just butter on my body.
Yeah. And I love their the Flynn cashmere sweater. That's the one I got.
Oh,
It's perfect.
very cute.
They just have the most comfortable stuff that is great for fall and
Yeah.
great for a little wardrobe refresh.
So excited that fall is finally here.
Fall's finally here. We love Jenny Kane. We talk about them a lot. We love them.
Yeah. The
Like-
slippers.
They got you have never let those slippers go. You crack me up. But you can find your forever pieces at jennykane.com. And our listeners today get 15% off your first order when you use code The Squeeze. That's 15% off your first order. You can go to JENNIKAYNE.com. Use promo code The Squeeze. 15% off. Let's get ready for fall.
Here we come, fall.
Get in those sweaters. So one of my favorite things to do is like just go outside, walk in our yard, walk through our neighborhood, and just walk through the trees and see
out in
all the
nature.
plants. Being out in nature, it's so good for your mental health. Truly, one of my favorite things is when I see little fruit starting to go on our fruit trees.
Yeah.
We have like, I don't know, 8,
A
10
lot.
fruit trees.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fruit trees. I go out there and check it all the time to see when, like, how far the fruit has come along.
Yeah.
And it's like my favorite thing. I put my shoes on and I just go on a little morning or nighttime stroll through our garden.
Yeah. Our trees bring us a lot of happiness.
Yes. So if you guys are looking to plant some fruit trees or truthfully any trees, you guys need to check out Fast Growing Trees because their selection in plants is actually insane.
They have everything for you. Anything you can imagine.
I'm on their website right now and I'm going to read you a couple. Fruit trees, evergreen, privacy, shrubs, hedges, flowering trees, palm trees, shade trees, house and patio. There's literally the list like goes on. If you're looking for any plant, it is on this website.
Yeah.
It is on the website. So I encourage you guys to get out there and plant some stuff. It's so good to, if you don't have a green thumb, don't worry about it. They got you covered. They have a 30-day Alive and Thrive guarantee, which you can trust that everything will be healthy, which is great.
Nice.
I love that. And for our listeners today, you guys get 15% off your entire order when you go to fastgrowingtrees.com/thesqueeze. That's a great deal.
Yeah.
But it's only through October 15th.
Okay.
So that's 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com/thesqueeze for 15% off your order. Go get out there. Go get your hands in some dirt and start planting.
There's definitely some people with a much bigger name recognition than Cameron that have
Oh,
epilepsy.
heck yeah.
So we would like, I mean, we do know of some, but they're just not particularly vocal about it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And it's understandable. Everybody wants to talk about their personal
stuff.
journey, but it will be helpful if more did.
Yeah.
And I'll just say, like, I think part of us being lulled was, like, for me, I work in homelessness in LA County, and I would read medical records and see so many people who have substance use, have seizure disorder. I hear so many people who have multiple seizures a day, like Cameron having one a year. He's safe.
Yeah.
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 Like, he's safe.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
what
They're
I would
fine.
think.
How could, if they have
Yeah.
them? So there's so much around proper education and
Yeah.
proper understanding of the disease. And hey, listen, they don't know everything. That's true. But you have to give people more tools.
Yeah.
And that we just didn't get.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I remember thinking, he only has one a year, just about like after the third one maybe. And I thought, man, it's going to be an issue in his life for sure, but we can manage this.
Yeah.
yeah.
So again, the
Yeah.
urgency wasn't really there.
No,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
at all.
And that in retrospect was really not
Yeah. Well, totally
suboptimal,
understandable.
obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I personally don't know anyone with epilepsy, but I know I've worked as a nurse and I definitely have seen like patients with it. But that's just crazy, like learning all of this from you guys and how like little like awareness there is about it. So, I'm thankful for, the work that you guys are doing through
Yeah, thank
this.
you.
I know that you guys have impacted, a lot of people, and your work is definitely, helping spread awareness and saving lives. And that's just,
We hope so.
We appreciate that.
that's just awesome. I do want to ask you guys about your grieving process. I know that's not a fun topic, but we love talking about it because, there isn't a playbook for it.
Nope.
And everyone's story is so unique and so different. And I think, hearing other people's stories, there's always something that,
Yeah.
we can take away from it. What were those first few months like for you guys after the passing of Cameron, and how has that, changed at all sitting here
Evolved.
today? Yeah. How has that
probably
evolved?
I think we have very different
We
ways
do,
of
we
grieving.
do, but the first month, 2, 3, 6 it was almost like I left my body.
Yeah. Me
It,
too.
it was like, I said it once before, and it still kind of feels this way. I kept waiting to wake up from a nightmare.
Yeah.
Like I just wouldn't accept that it was real. And, there's no describing it. And people would say, well, I just can't imagine how you feel. And I say, you don't want to feel this.
Yeah.
You don't want to imagine this. It's just like, why would you want to imagine that? Don't even think that. But I know, for Lib, she's involved with many support groups, multiple support groups.
Too many.
And it works for, the first thing we did was we went and we saw a therapist.
Yeah, therapist.
And it was like, for me, it was like, it did nothing for me. It just made me more sad. Like, why am I telling this stranger? I don't know. She's going to charge me money. And what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And I was just mad, and it just was not helpful.
Yeah.
But, luckily, Lib is connected with some really tight groups, and everybody has, like, their tragedy is just as big as ours. The only difference is most of them weren't famous. So, our thing is not unique. Parents lose kids, people lose loved ones all the time. I don't feel sorry for myself in that sense, but we're unique in the sense that our son was so visible that people that we don't know constantly are coming at us,
Yeah.
with condolences and things, and asking us questions and stuff.
Still.
Still,
4 years later.
Yeah.
and it's always well-intentioned, but it's not always wanted.
Yeah.
Because it's overwhelming. It's constant, oh. And I don't want to live my life like that. I don't want to live in constant sadness. And Cameron wouldn't want me to live my life in constant sadness.
Yeah.
So I don't want to feel guilty for enjoying my life. And sometimes that's what it's like. Like, I've had people say, well, how can you go on? Like, what?
What are you supposed to?
What?
You have to.
Right.
Should I just curl up and die? Like, no. Now we have this mission to turn this tragedy into something positive.
Yeah.
So that's what the Cameron Boyce Foundation is all about. And as far as everything else, like, I'm still the same person. I obviously I'm changed in the sense that we've suffered a tremendous loss. But what I've learned is you can suffer a tremendous loss and still do things. You could still do something. You
Yeah.
could do something about it. You can not just wither away.
I would add that I think you actually begin to live your life more intentionally.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
think we,
No doubt.
I mean, COVID might have helped us quite a bit. Me and him were stuck together for 3 years? I don't know, whatever it was. Like
Yeah.
we had to, we're very different people, but yet we've had to pull together, and I think our relationship is stronger in a lot of ways. But I'll just say, my experience was very different than Vic's. For me, because at my work, I'm a problem solver. My whole life is like solving problems. Give me a problem, I solve it. And so when this happened, this is not solvable. And I kept trying to use my usual coping skills to solve this problem. And it was kind of like, okay, how long am I going to feel this way? Like literally, and it's kind of like when you read about Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and the grief, and there's this bargaining. I was bargaining like crazy those first, maybe 6 months to a year. Just, okay, how do I get out of this? Like, what's the solution?
Yeah.
And, then the second year is like, oh shit, there is no solution.
There's no solution.
There's no solution. There's nothing. You can go to a therapist. You can go to a support group. You can distract yourself. That's what I did a lot of. Distract yourself. You can do all these things, but there is no solving this problem. And you just kind of like have to make a decision. Number one, I know my son very, very well. I know exactly what he would want me to do. I know that he would want us to continue living. I know that he would want us to take care of Maya. I know that he would want us to be good.
Yeah.
I know he'd want us to embrace our family. I know all these things. So even though he's not here in body, like I know his heart, and his heart came from us. So we just continue in that vein.
We also know that he will be very proud of what we've done.
Totally.
Like the last,
He'd be blown away, especially at him.
backhanded compliment. Our last gala was just tremendous, and it was only our second one, and we hope and feel that it will continue to grow and get. But I think all the people that came and they all came for him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They all came for him, and it was just so much love and so much support, and just like deservedly so for Cameron.
Yeah.
And so I think he will be proud of that as well.
For sure.
He'd be proud of his best friends too.
Oh yeah.
Who've really done a
super
lot
involved,
for
super involved,
the
super
foundation.
dedicated.
Wow.
Literally ride or die. Like,
Karin and Sophie.
Yep.
Sophie.
just unbelievable, and their families as well. So we've been blessed with a strong village, as my wife likes to say.
Yeah.
And you know, you need that, and that's, you know, you were asking about the grief thing. Like for her, support groups. For me, it's my buddies, my cycling crew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As it is, and because it's both a physical thing and also a support thing.
Yeah.
And just as an example, yesterday we did a ride out of Malibu, and one of the guys who was a dentist who does very well for himself, he has a house here and he has a house in Idaho. And apparently people are asking him, why don't you just move to Idaho?
Mm-hmm.
And he told us, he said, we all just were sitting around, we had lunch after a ride, and he said, you know, people keep asking him to move to Idaho. He says, the only reason I don't move to Idaho is because of you guys.
Aw.
And he was like getting choked up. I was like, wow. But that's the kind of relationship that we have in this group. You know, it's very tight knit, and it's something that's been evolving kind of organically over the last 20-ish years.
Wow.
And the core group that we have now, it's like we all know that, like, this is our support group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Constantly. We talk about everything.
Yeah.
Yes. I know. He's talking about me. Yeah, they talk about their wives and how we frustrate them.
Oh my gosh.
For real.
Everything.
We talk about everything, and it's
Good. I'm glad.
it's
Get
weird
it
for
out.
me.
Get it out, baby.
Get it out. It's weird for me because I wasn't the type of person to tell things, like to talk about personal things. Never. I was never that guy. And, you know, more and more and more, because we can be vulnerable. It's a rare thing with men. You know, men tend to be clammed up. Men tend to be solo.
Yep.
And men die earlier than women because of these things, because they don't have support, because they don't talk, because they keep their feelings bottled up.
Yeah.
And we just let that shit out.
Yeah.
Which is great. And so you combine that with the physical fun and joy of the cycling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With this, it's the best support group ever. So I never feel like I need to go to the one she goes to, even though I'm sure those are great too.
Yeah.
But it will be like,
He would
for me,
hate
it
them.
will be a
He would
start
hate them.
over. I would have
He
to
would hate 'em.
reset
Yeah.
and re-meet these. They're different kind of people. The thing that's good for me with my guys is we have one thing in common, because we're all different, you know, career-wise, even age-wise. We have kind of a big age spread. Like the youngest guy is still in his 40s, and the oldest guy is like 70.
Okay.
So, you know, we have a kind of a big age spread, but the commonality is the cycling.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, golf on wheels. You know,
Yeah.
golf course is kind of the same thing. People
Yeah.
do deals on the golf course. They make friends on the golf course, blah, blah, blah. But the cycling thing for me is it's just life-changing.
Yeah.
You know, I was already into it as a solo person. Like, I think I would always have a bicycle, but to have these people
Yeah.
is much more important than the bike.
Yeah.
The bike is just the thing that brought us together.
Yeah.
I'll say one other thing, which is that we also have 2 rescue dogs, and like we're those crazy dog people now.
Speak
I
for
mean,
yourself.
No, he's
You're
crazy.
sitting across from 2.
We are nuts with it. So we didn't have dogs for a long time, and I kept bugging. And
I kept
finally-
saying no. I kept saying no. And now I'm like, every dog I see, I'm like, can I pet your dog? Oh my God, dog.
Yeah.
So they're
nutty.
just joyful. They take me on a walk every day, 2 miles. You know, they're
Yeah.
they're just everything.
Oh, yeah.
The power of animals.
Oh
It's
my
crazy.
God.
Yeah.
So
I've had dogs my whole life. I never felt like this with, I've always liked dogs, but now it's different. There's something different about these dogs right now. And it's a powerful thing.
it's healing.
Yeah.
It's a powerful
healing.
thing.
Yeah, that is. And also that I love that you both like said community, because I feel like that's something that we've learned. And I think a lot of people have learned since COVID, especially how important community is,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, for the big things,
It's
small
everything.
things, the hard things,
It's
fun
everything.
things.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
I
everything.
mean, he has this cycling group. I have amazing friends. I also have like a BFF who's just, she's always there for me. And I have a number of really, really good friends. So we do have a good village, and some together and some not.
Yeah,
which
that's what I
is
was going
fine.
to say.
We're
Some of
very-
it
we're very
overlaps, which is
individual.
even better.
Yeah.
Like we just took a trip to the Netherlands with 5 couples that are all just happen to be some of my cycling group, and she gets along with the wives, and of course I love the guys, and we had a great time. And it was
We rode.
It was
we
a
rode
trip.
our bikes through.
We
all
rode
of it.
flat for her, no mountains. We went to the flattest place on earth, Amsterdam.
that.
Where-
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was super flat.
It was beautiful.
And she had an e-bike, so it was all good. But even more fun than the cycling was just having those people and enjoying good dinners and just enjoying good times. And again, I wasn't really like that so much growing up. Kind of been like, I'll just go my own way.
Yeah.
But the older I get, the more I realize how important those relationships are, and I really appreciate it because, I mean, besides your health.
Yeah.
Material things don't really matter. It's just your health and your relationships, and everything else will follow.
Yeah.
Yeah. You touched quickly on his friends, and I mean, his legacy has changed so many people's lives. And I'm curious from your point of view, what has it looked like have you learned anything maybe that you didn't know about Cameron from these amazing friends that he has, coming forward with stories, and just what does the outpour of love from people that knew him and didn't know him, what has that felt like for you guys?
For me, it was just a reinforcement what I already knew. But I'll say, not so much. Like what I think sort of touched me is just how in every community that he was within, he was an anchor somehow. Like he was sort of the one that everyone depended on for sanity, for reason, for fun, for all of those things. And like, I saw that because in our family, he was like that. I mean, for our family, he was when, the party started when Cameron walked in the door.
I'll say this too. Nothing new surprised me. I didn't learn anything new was your question. But to her point about, she said sanity, I thought Cameron was almost too, like, people want to tell him their problems and like how wanted him to fix, like he was their therapist.
Yep.
And I just thought it was too much sometimes. Like, dude, you don't have to be there like that much.
Yeah.
Because that's sapping your energy.
Yeah.
It was almost giving to a fault, which I didn't really like sometimes. But that, like I said, that's just who he was.
Yeah, you can't help it.
He
And
didn't
that's
say
me.
no.
And that's me. Because like I'm
You will say, okay, I'm done with this
well,
person.
because I'm 61 years old.
Even you will say, okay, that's enough. But
Totally.
Cameron would never say no. He would never say
never.
okay.
Yeah.
Even
We
if
had
it was
to play bad cop a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. I think also his friends, if there was something that we didn't know, I think his friends would protect him.
Yeah. I will say.
I know they would.
Yes.
They would protect whatever that is.
Yeah.
And just maybe if they feel like they're protecting us or protecting him, either or. But I think that's what would happen. Is really, really close friends.
Yeah.
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 Well, last question I have for you guys. I feel like, talking to someone who has lost, a child, a parent, a family member can can be hard for the person, talking to you. And I feel like sometimes when I talk to like a friend, that maybe like lost their mom or something, I like almost get awkward. Like I almost don't know what exactly.
Scared what to say,
Scared to say.
how to handle it.
Yeah. Like,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, that people always say like time heals all wounds, but that we know that's obviously like not true.
Don't say
Like,
it.
how do you don't say that. How would you want to be talked to, if that's the correct verbiage of how to say that?
Yeah.
Like what is the correct thing to say to someone that like shows empathy and that you care for them, but isn't, triggering or bringing up stuff?
I think it depends on who it is.
Okay.
Like how close are you to them?
Yeah.
Because strangers say things to me sometimes, and like I said, I know their intentions are good, but they say awkward things. So for me, I have to learn to just like, just take it in stride. They don't mean anything bad or anything, and just be nice and just reflect niceness back to them. Yeah. Because there is no one thing. It depends on your relationship. For me, I'm not speaking for her, but for me, it depends on who's saying it. I had a situation where someone who should have known better, that we know very tightly, said something super awkward, like early on, and I just was like livid. Yeah. Like, what did you just say to me? Yeah. And then I let that person know how I felt about that and why. And the very next day, they did it again, and I just couldn't. But it was only because that's what that person would normally say. It was like a daily thing. It was a mindless thing. It wasn't like they were giving it thought what they were saying. It was like one of those things that they just say. Yeah. And so I took a learning lesson from that to not get upset, because, like, again, I know that it wasn't malicious or flippant at all. It was just they're at a loss as to what to say, and they just said something that rubbed me the wrong way. Yeah. So I think for me, I just had to learn to not get offended or upset no matter what anybody says. So because there's really no right thing to say. Yeah. There's really no right thing to say. There's wrong things to say, but again, as long as it's not malicious, I'm not going to get upset about it.
I actually would love to, if I had time, to write a book about this.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of what Vic said, but it's really just about actions more than anything. Yep. Like, there's nothing you can say. What can you say? Right. I mean, probably the most sane thing I heard was no words. Yeah. Or people just hugged me. Like, that's, and I took major lessons from that. A very good friend of mine, she's a physician, and she just helped her dad pass with it. He had a terminal illness. And, I just went into her home Friday, and she fell into me, and we just hugged. Mm-hmm. That's all that you need to do. Mm-hmm. And it's still awkward. It's still awkward. I still feel like somebody had a loss. I'm not sure what to say. It was worse before my loss. Like, it was really uncomfortable. So I know how people feel. Mm-hmm. I know it's just not a thing that we're comfortable with at all. And nor should we be in a lot of ways, so it's really hard to know, but you kind of have to think about what your relationship is with that person. I mean, I had some weird stuff said to me. We had some weird stuff said to us, people who are not close to us. Like, I can forgive you if you're close to me, but if you're not close to me, like, what? Like, really? I don't know. We had some weird.
In some of her support groups, the things that people say to people who have lost their kid, like, you have 3 other kids.
Yeah, we didn't. By the way, that never happened to us.
No. Okay.
We've never had anything like that.
No.
Like,
but people say some really stupid shit.
Hang on. The worst thing that was said to us.
Oh my gosh.
And I'll tell you off this where it came from.
Cut. Oh, okay.
No, where it came from was this should have been avoidable.
Oh,
that's the worst. That's the worst thing.
Oh, yeah.
But I will say,
dude, I was
Okay.
about to light this person up. Like, I had to stop myself. Like,
that's pretty crazy.
Oh man.
But worse, way worse for people in my support group. I'm like, just things that are like, what? Like,
Yeah.
why? I mean, so you have to think about what you're saying and figure out what's the best way to support this individual.
Yeah.
We had a food train. We had people in our house nonstop for 2 weeks. We needed that.
Yeah.
Being there, distracting. Like my best friend who lost her husband a few years before Cameron died, just took my hand and said, we're going to get through this together. And even though, yes, mine was a child, hers was her husband, you know, it's different, but that just really helped me. And for sure, we're closer now, and we are getting through it together. And we do get together very often. She lives up north, but like we get together often, and we're there for each other, and we could just talk about it. And like my best friends, they're just, you know, the thing about it, I think the biggest message is don't stop talking about that person. Do not. Don't avoid talking about Cameron with us.
Okay.
Like that's the worst thing you could do, because we like to hear his name. We like, you know, he's gone physically. And how painful is that as a parent that your child would be forgotten?
Yeah.
So and I hear this from a lot of parents in my support group. It's that dismissiveness of like not talking about that person, not acknowledging that they're not there. It's kind of like a slap both ways, you know?
Yeah.
So
That's good to hear.
yeah.
Well, we all can learn so much from Cameron and the human that he was. So I would just like to say thank you to both of you for raising such an incredible example for the rest of the world. And thank you for all of the work you're doing with the Cameron Boyce Foundation. You guys are doing exactly what your son would want you to be doing. And it's saving lives.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Love being here on the squeeze.
All right. Anything else you guys wanted to cover, throw in there? Or are you good?
No, but I have to say, when I came in the door, I looked at you and I'm like, wait a minute.
You didn't know who you were coming
No.
to talk
No.
Typical.
He's like, I was
No. Like, wait a minute.
happy the camera's still recording and that you said that.
I was like, wait a minute. And then you said, girl, I was like, oh, shit, duh.
No, I'm just an interviewer.
No, you're not. I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, that makes more sense.
That is Taylor. That is completely my husband.
I didn't know.
Wow. What an amazing episode. I think like during, while we were taping this, I found myself just kind of like sitting back and listening to them in the way, that they talk about Cameron, and just like seeing them just like beam while they're talking about him and, his accomplishments, and just like talking about him. I just found myself, I was just like, this is, how special is it that we get to share this moment with them in speaking about him. And like you said in the beginning, I was very honored to have them on. I've been wanting to have them on for a long time, and we had a great time with them, and they are doing some great things with his legacy and with the Cameron Boyce Foundation. And we learned a lot about epilepsy too, which is awesome. But
we need to help spread awareness.
Yeah.
Because there truly is not a lot. I mean, there's a ton unknown still. Yeah. And just not talked about.
Yeah, for sure.
So love their mission, and let's help spread.
Yeah, we'll leave their link to the foundation, all the stuff that you guys need down below in the description. As always, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Leave us a comment on what you guys thought of the episode. You can follow us, our Instagrams. There is The Squeeze. There's also The Squeeze Podcast on TikTok. But yeah, keep checking back on Instagram for Citrus Got Real, advice column, tea time with Tay, question boxes. And if you guys have anything else you want to add, you can email us at lautner.thesqueezepodcast@gmail.com.
Hit us up.
Yeah. Well, this is fun. We have a fun episode coming up next week.
Yes.
I'm excited for you guys.
What is it?
We have some special guests that come coming at the end.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. Guess you'll have to come back next Wednesday to find out.
Come back. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Have
Yes.
a great rest of your week. We love you, and we'll see you next Wednesday.
Bye.
This podcast has been brought to you by Podcast Nation.